Welcome to another episode of the So Here For It podcast. I am your host, Amy Mingan, and today we're speaking all about emotional eating. By the end of today, you are going to know exactly why you crave the foods that you crave, or even why you choose the foods that you choose, because there is something happening underneath the choices every single time without us even realizing. I put a post on social media the other day that was based on research, and the research said this. We make over 200 food-based decisions per day. 200. And here we think meal prepping and getting ourselves organized and making sure that we have food to cook and all of that is helpful, but we also still have over 200 food-based responses inside our brain to make decisions every single day. So there is no wonder that people think that they don't have willpower. But I want you to know this. It's not anything to do with your willpower. Everybody does have willpower, but the emotions that you are utilizing when you're making food choices, that's really what we're going to talk about today. So I first of all want to start off and say that if emotional eating has been a thing for you, I feel you. I feel you so much. Like most of the women who I meet, like I would say the vast majority, 95%, would say to me that they have had some form of emotional eating. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's gone to the point of like binge eating or going into any sort of disordered eating. Some of them do. But what this really, really tells me is that we lack the resources to help ourselves move through and actually feel what emotions we're feeling. And it is just so easy. You think about it, like a great metaphor that I thought of is like, you think of what a little kid is like, and a little kid is relentless if they want your attention. They're going to pull at your skirt or tap you on the leg or mummy, 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 mummy. They do the repetitive stuff, right? So they get our attention. Well, that is exactly like what our emotional state does inside of our body. It sends us more and more and more messages subtly to begin with. And it might be a bit of a tickle, subtle. Oh yeah, I might consider getting one of those later. Oh yeah, that might be nice. And you feel like you can get through it. But by the end of the day, you're craving something. But the craving hasn't come from just the food. It's never the food's fault. I always love saying this. It's never the food's fault because the food is just there for fuel. The food is there for us to survive, really. But in an emotional sense, it is what our nervous system is actually using to survive. We haven't been equipped with the correct resources throughout our lives. It hasn't been passed down to us in our generations to have these emotional tools of regulating ourselves. So a lot of the time, this like repetitive, you think of the toddler tapping at you, talking at you, pulling at your skirt, it's going to get its way eventually, right? It's going to get your attention eventually. And so before you know it, you're at the fridge or you're at the pantry and you're mindlessly looking, being like, I'm not even hungry. Why am I even here? Why am I eating this thing? I'm not even hungry. It's because of the emotional state that you're in. And I just want to say, even if you can't name the emotion, give it a go at naming the emotion. Like this is one of the biggest tangible tips I want to give you first up. Usually there's an emotion involved. If you've like caught on to the fact that you're eating and you're not hungry, or you're just mindlessly snacking, or you're bored, a lot of people will say, oh yeah, I think if I just snack when I'm bored. There is something under the boredom, my friend. There is always something under the boredom. And I want you to start learning to feel your feelings because a feeling is not a thought. A feeling is something you feel in your body. And so if you let yourself move more into your body, you're going to learn to feel. The food has always been a coping mechanism. The food is us searching for a feeling or searching for a way to feel the feeling. It's not about the food. And so let me give you a few examples of some really prime cravings that some people get and what they mean. So let's start first of all with chocolate. Chocolate is the favorite for a lot of people, right? I remember growing up and not really liking chocolate, which I think is pretty wild. I quite like it now, but it's not like an everyday food for me. I will just go through little patterns with it. And so what I'll start asking myself is the questions that I'll ask you in just a moment. So if you crave chocolate regularly, I ask you this. What is it that you're really wanting? What do you feel when you have the chocolate? Like if you're really mindfully eating the chocolate, what are you getting from it? Because if you're eating the dark chocolate like me, you don't get much out of it. Frankly, I'm just like, I make myself eat the dark chocolate, the 90% stuff, because it actually isn't that nice. It's super bitter. Or I make it myself, and I can give you a chocolate recipe. I think I'll share that on socials this week. But I digress. Usually, we're searching for joy, we're searching for love, we're searching for connection. That's an emotion, right? So if you're feeling a little empty, a little lonely, you're wanting more love in your life, it's usually we go towards the chocolate. Or inside Catalyst, a lot of the women are like, I'm missing my morning cacao or my afternoon cacao. And I'm like, oh, interesting. What are some of the ways that you bring love into your life? And they're like, that's a weird question to ask me. I just was talking about cacao. And I said, yeah, there's more messages in it from your body than you realize. What are some ways that you can actually improve your self-worth? What are some ways that you can bring joy into your life? If you're craving chocolate, you're also craving joy. You're craving like what really lights you up. And sometimes it's just a matter of you choosing something different. It's not a behavior, it's the feeling. So it could be behavior-based, meaning if you're searching for joy and instead of going for the chocolate and you really like particular songs and you really like to dance, then choose the song and the dance. And see if you get the same feeling out of it as what you would from the chocolate. As I dare say, if that's your thing, then do it. It's just about like actually giving yourself the thing that's going to give you the emotion. Because we are so well wired to search for the emotion through food. You think about it, it's a dopamine reward system. And I speak about this a little more deeply in episode 6, the dose principle. So D standing for dopamine. O is oxytocin, which is the connection neurotransmitter. S is serotonin. And I'll get to that one next because anyone who's craving bread, pasta, carbs, you'll want more serotonin. Serotonin is made in our gut. You think about it. If we get a really quick hit of simple carbs, it's going to give us a quick hit of serotonin, right? And what does serotonin do? It makes us feel calm, makes us feel grounded, makes us feel happy. For some people, that's another thing. It's like, okay, I'm going to get a bit more serotonin out of this. Then the E stands for endorphins. So I always say, and you'll hear this in that episode, go back and listen to episode 6 after this. We're always searching for the next thing. It is natural inside of our nervous systems to want to grow, to want to change. But it's also so natural to want to stay safe. So our subconscious mind, it's kind of preventing our growth, and yet our conscious mind is always searching for more growth. So you can see where there's a disparity between what our emotional self wants and what our cognitive self wants. The key is being able to bring them together so that you actually feel grounded in yourself and you can make decisions, particularly around your food, but also around your emotions that aren't going to somewhat sabotage your efforts or sabotage your goals. And let me just say this. You're not actually sabotaging anything. You're just following a well-worn track. You're following your patterns. The foods are part of your patterns. You think about how you were rewarded as a child. You think about how you reward yourself as an adult. You think about where food is part of the whole connection, all of our social groups. It's meat for a coffee and a cake, or meat for a croissant on the way to work, or meat for lunch at a particular cafe, or meet for dinner with a new date. Like, have a think about it. It is actually well weaved into every single thing that we do. It doesn't mean that it's unchangeable. It means it's going to take a little bit of us being super mindful and actually looking after ourselves in order to make really great decisions around it. I want you to feel really, really great and really empowered of who you are and the decisions that you make. So if you're craving chocolate, you're craving bread and pasta, be like, oh, this is what Amy said in that episode. Oh, what am I actually feeling right now? Because if you give yourself just that little bit of space, give yourself a few breaths, walk away from the kitchen, and actually say, what is the feeling I'm trying to get out of this food? What is it? Because there is something driving that behavior, and it is usually an emotion. Super duper interesting. And so some people will say, oh, I just really like to get home and have a glass of wine. It just takes the edge off. Well, that is actually a sugar craving, my friend. So interesting. The people who crave the sugar and the people who crave the alcohol, similar sort of thing. It works on GABA in the brain and it inhibits the nervous system. What does this do? It stops anxiety. It slows down the nervous system for a period of time. It gives you that like feeling. Everybody knows that feeling after a glass of alcohol. You know what though? The amount that you get from that first glass is never going to be topped up by the second. And it won't even be topped up by the one that you have the next day or the next day or the next day. But because of the way that the nervous system works, it's constantly searching for that same feeling. So you can see how we can become a little bit dependent upon these vices in our life, right? And it doesn't mean that you don't have willpower. It just means that there's an emotional side of you that needs some attention, that needs you to slow down enough to be able to say, oh, what's really happening here? Oh, what coping strategies could I actually bring in instead? As opposed to the things that are like playing with my weight or my hormones or my inflammation levels. And I like saying this as well. The body won't change if it doesn't feel safe. The body won't heal in a state of hatred. Like if you're looking in the mirror and you wish that you change, but you're not doing anything to change and you're still saying the negative voice to yourself, that's usually the person who likes crunchy foods, by the way. If you crave crunchy or salty, usually you're looking in the mirror and saying that to yourself. And I've seen these patterns play out time and time again. I myself have had these patterns play out. We are all human. So how do I know that these are part of what happens with humans who are wanting to release weight and have more balanced hormones and energy? I've been doing this work for 17 years. I've been working with women for such a long time and I notice the patterns. But want to know what the beauty of all of that is? It gives me a pathway to take you on. It gives me opportunities to be able to help you to identify things. And it also gives me the opportunity to help you take a step from A to B. Because if you're currently feeling like your emotions rule your food, which it does happen to a lot of people, as I said in the beginning, I feel you because this is one of the biggest drivers of overeating, of choosing foods that are just the extras. You might eat really well, but then what about all those extras that you say yes to on a daily basis? It's about those. They're the things that actually cause the kilos to stack on after, a few months. And you're like, oh, these pants are a bit tight. Oh, my face looks a bit different in that photo. Oh, I don't really like that angle. All of a sudden you're like, oh, where did all this weight come from? It's usually from all the extras, but where do the extras come from? It's usually from your emotions. So if we can help you to start feeling safer inside your body, if we can help you to start being a little more mindful about your choices before you just go straight into the cravings, how would that feel for you? How would it feel to be able to give yourself the attention that little toddler tugging at you, you just go, you calm yourself down, and you notice it and go, okay, well, what is it really saying to me right now? Imagine if you had that amount of, it's not willpower, it's awareness. Imagine if you had that amount of awareness. All of a sudden, you would have so much more self-acceptance and you'd be able to treat yourself with more love and kindness and compassion because you can name it. There's a thing in the psychotherapy field, they say, name it to tame it. So if you could say, I was really wanting that chocolate because I really wanted to have like a little bit more connection. What connection did you need? Did you need to reach out to a friend? Did you need to connect with yourself? Maybe do some tapping or breath work or do something that actually helps you feel better as opposed to choosing the food. Like there's so many different ways that we can do this. So I want to give you a couple of takeaways. Number one, if you're noticing yourself going into that pattern of going to the kitchen, going into the pantry, and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm in here again, I'm snacking again, and it's a little bit mindless, and maybe you're finishing the toddler leftovers as well as your own meal, and you might still be eating good food, but you're also noticing the kilos creep on. I want you to start just giving yourself that little bit of space. Notice when you do it and go, oh, okay, I noticed I did it. Take a step out of the kitchen, take a breath. And once you've taken the breath, I want you to start being kind to yourself and say, what do I really feel? What do I really feel? And I want you to start touching your fingers like this, touching your toes on the ground, like being in your body, because it's really easy to try and intellectualize what we're feeling. But instead of being in your head, this time I want you to be in your body. because this is where the body signals come from. This is where the actual food cravings come from. It's a body awareness. So when I say, okay, well, what am I feeling? And you might say, oh, I'm feeling a little bit anxious. Well, what specifically am I feeling anxious about? You might be able to name it. You might not be able to. You might say, oh, I'm feeling a little bit overwhelmed. The food makes me feel, and name the emotion. So you might find it as an internal thing. You might be able to get the reflection from the external. So that's number one. And number two, I want you to come up with a list. Some people will call this a dopamine menu, and I love dopamine menus. And what it actually does is it gives you other things to do, other things to say, other things to experience instead of just going for food, instead of going for scrolling on your phone, instead of just doing something mindlessly, whatever that behavior is for you, because we all have different behaviors, right? I want you to have a dopamine menu, and the dopamine menu looks something like this. If I feel a craving come on, I grab a glass of water and I walk outside and I notice how the shadows move through the trees and how the sunshine's coming through. I go outside and I breathe 5 times. Perfect. That is enough to stop a craving in its tracks. It's enough to stop something that feels like an addictive behavior in its tracks. But you come up with yours. It might be dancing. It might be listening to music. It might be calling a friend. It might be finding a new hobby. It might be reading your book. Whatever it is for you, I want you to come up with your own dopamine menu of at least 5 things, ideally 10 to 15. And this is going to be your go-to. So as soon as you start to notice that pattern pop up, name it, give yourself compassion, choose from your dopamine menu. And this is the most incredible, tangible info that I can give you straight away. You can apply this right away. Now, once you've done this, I also want to get you to go through and click the link down below and go through to the mind body type quiz, because I want to be able to give you more info on, be able to give you more support around this. And there's a quiz that I've created that helps you through your different emotional types, your different body types. So go on through the quiz. You will get so much tangible info through that, and you'll be able to really identify what's going on for you. So if it's also really great if you tend to kind of put your body last. You might forget to eat, or you might be somebody who snacks all day, or you might be the emotional eater, or you might be someone who puts everybody else first. There's lots of different things inside of the quiz that are going to really help give you so much more clarity about how to move forward with your health and also your hormones and also your weight release journey. So thank you so much for joining me today. I have absolutely loved diving into this, and I feel like there's going to be a part 2, part 3 of the emotional eating style, because there's so much more to share here. Make sure you go back and listen to episode 6 so you really get the dose principle, and hope you have the most awesome day.